Okay, here we go. And hello. So, thanks for being here. Today is Friday. Hi. Today is Friday. I was gonna say August. Obviously, it's not. September 4th. I just can't believe it. But I apologize. Should I say that? I mean, yeah, I'm recording, but that's real life. So basically, I went for testing this morning just because on Monday, Monday it's a holiday, and the next available opportunity was going to be Wednesday, and Kian and I are trying to do, if we can, bi-weekly, and we alternate. So they, so this week was my week to go, just because we go to grocery stores, we go to Kian goes to the office, so we try to keep up a little bit of testing etiquette going on. So obviously, I just didn't anticipate there were going to be so many people. They shortened the hours. They also don't have as many locations, so it's much harder to get a test. It's not as hard, but it's just less convenient. Anyhow, so that's why I sent it like essentially 15 minutes before the webinar, but I'm glad you're here. Very excited. I got a picture. I'm just going to share really quickly, but we did a super extended inspiration video. I apologize for the length. It was just bonkers, but so that's what I'm going to do. This is the photo, and I'm seeing some images already. I'm really excited. And we had this, I'm not going to go into details. We're going to go into details when we start painting. Jen, how are you?
Hi everyone. I'm great. Happy Friday.
Yes, thanks. So I'm sure we're gonna talk a lot more and go more in depth. But one of the questions, oh, I didn't talk about this guy, but I will during the session. One of the things that we talked about is, okay, so we got really greatly inspired by this painter. Her style was revolutionary, radical, the most advanced at the time, without a question and without a doubt. So we're just going to do this portrait, and then the question arises, are we supposed to replicate that style? So the answer is no, we're not supposed to, unless you want to experiment and explore. So this is a very interesting proposition, because the technique and the style is so appealing and so beautiful and so interesting that we may feel like we want to give it a shot. I'm warning you, these things don't necessarily end up well. Yeah, my advice is be careful if you try to whip up your brush on top of it. I don't know. It's really hard to replicate someone else's style. And I don't think that should be the point. But having said that, I am really interested on the use of white. I'm really interested on the pale blue greens. She didn't use yellow on the greens. We talk about sap green and how important the botanical greens are yellow. There's none of that here. So in that sense, she didn't do any of those things that we talk about. So it would be very interesting to explore the cerulean blue. It looks like there's cobalt blue or ultramarine right there. We may just kind of like talk about that. But what I'm going to do is, number one, composition, composition, and composition. I'm going to try to spend time and find out a composition that seems there's nothing that's in the way of enjoying the visual experience of the painting. And that's the problem with compositions that are off center, or they're not, unless they're very intentional. They could be part of the experience of seeing it. I don't want it to be part. I want the figure to be the only thing that is there to enjoy. So I'm not going to do any details on the greens, but and I'm not going to probably use a lot of blue on the shirt. So we'll see. But I just wanted to give this brief introduction. I know that you guys have different ideas, just because in case you had that in mind, um, consider that it could be a challenge. Consider that it could be a challenge. What am I doing? Yes. All right, so let's get it started. And I'm using cotton paper. That's my painting surface. My painting format is 12 by 16. It's a little bit larger, but now that we have studio times and studio time on Wednesdays, I feel a little bit more comfortable painting this size. I'm gonna use charcoal. I have, let me see if I can do this. Just yeah, I have I'm organizing the palette differently these days. Oh yeah, I can. So instead of putting all the neutrals on this side, oh, this is perfect. It just gives me an opportunity to explain. Instead of putting all the neutrals on this side, what I'm doing is I'm splitting up my palette in two edges or two sides. Here are my what I call primary neutrals, which now consist of two whites, one gray, and two blacks. So this is titanium and this is zinc. This is a Portland gray medium. And this is the coal black, Payne's gray, and this is the warm black Van Dyke brown. So we're getting super fancy, but it's week 1,000, so why not? And then on the other side, I'm putting my secondary, what I call secondary neutrals, my browns. Raw umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and ecru. And we had this conversation the other day with Kate. We did a house visit in Sierra Madre, which was absolutely wonderful. And we were talking about how she remembers us saying that this could be perfectly considered neutrals. Why not? Pink could be a neutral. So I'm gonna try to find another word for these two, but I'm gonna call them neutrals, maybe the light neutrals. I don't know, I like the idea of having this as neutrals for a different reason. Primary neutrals, secondary neutrals, and maybe this light neutrals. I have to find out what's going to be the term. But yeah, that's our staple palette right now. This is not going to be a palette that probably when we come back into the world we'll use, especially depending on who join us for painting, because this is too many options for people who are not familiar with oil. But for us, I would recommend it. So there you go. Okay, so charcoal. Let me see if I can straighten this out. I'm really excited about this. I'm looking at the, I'm gonna do potato shape. So this is gonna be how tall the figure is gonna be. And let's just start with a couple of axis lines / potato shapes. So I just want sort of like an idea. So this could be an idea, and I'm already noticing that I'm repeating the same habits that I've been carrying all my life. All of us, I would say in general. The torso is way too tall. I don't have enough room for the legs. So that happens all the time. And the reason why it happens is because we don't do enough figure drawing, which we should be doing, but that's a different chapter. I think we're gonna have to find another way. So I'm just raising the waist. So I'm gonna be a little bit kind of like tough with this because you guys are such pros. But what I've noticed with her style is that, yes, it was very radical. I will talk about things that I observed that I could adopt into my practice. But I've noticed that one of the things that was not part of the equation was how proportionate the figures tried to be. So in other words, the drawing component of her paintings is very sophisticated, elevated, developed, and it doesn't become part of the experience. She plays with brushstrokes and color, but her drawing is very classic, very classic. So even if I do a wash today, I'm gonna try to put much more intention in the drawing aspect. I'm not gonna try to be proportionate, but I'm gonna try to sand off, or form or sculpt the figure in a way that there's nothing in it that would make it look off. It's easier said than done, obviously, but I noticed that that's part of her paintings. And when I put her painting right next to, her painting, when I tried to do side by side, I noticed that there were some things in the painting that they were not exactly well proportioned. And we can talk about that and do a little bit of analysis on how some things on the drawing were not necessarily proportionate. Because it's literally impossible to exactly replicate that posture, because some of the things that she did simply cannot be replicated in real life. So I'm not going to try to be exact, but I'm going to try to have this representational aspect to be as harmonious as I can. I think that's the only thing that I would take from looking at her work, that I'm going to try to incorporate. Will I be successful? I don't know. Is that the goal of our the painting? No, it is not. It's just an observation that I'm doing based on the analysis, the personal analysis that I made of the paintings. So I'm going one step at a time. I may need to redo this all over because I think I'm running out of space for the legs, but we'll see. I'm happy with this much space on top, but maybe I need to raise the head. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Let's go ahead and do that. Just to show you that we shouldn't be attached to what we draw. Because once we have something that's slightly pretty, we feel like we don't want to mess with it. And we should always be open to make changes in that sense. Yeah, I'm feeling much more comfortable with this. Much more comfortable. I updated the folder, the Late Summer Sadness folder, with some of the paintings that I found, that I find, number one, they're my most favorite, and the ones that I find that they're the most radical. So I will talk about them. I will talk about them before we even sketch. I mean, before we start with the wash, because I feel like she worked fast. Here we go. I think that's a little bit, it just get much more. I mean, that was a good decision, and it was a proof that you should not be attached to anything that happens at this stage. Make sure that if you feel you don't have enough space, because and I can guarantee you this will be the hardest thing, because I see it every single session when things only make sense compositionally at the end, because I feel there's a hesitation to make the changes earlier. And to me, this, yeah, I think right now I have a little bit more space. The hands are going to be important. So I'm just going to make sure I work fast, but I also use simplification. Yeah, I think that's okay. So I'm not going to do fingers or anything. I think I'm a little bit content with this, and see how this is going to develop. But the thing that happens in our subconscious, and I'm obsessed with that, because I feel like sometimes we make decisions that we don't make the decisions. Our subconscious makes the decisions for us. We think we decide something when in fact that ship has sailed already. And one of the things that our subconscious does is it prevents us from removing if it feels that something needs to stay. So we may be able to articulate, we may think like, oh yeah, I'm just, I'm not gonna do this, but it's already too late. The decision has been made. All right, so I'm gonna cut the legs a little bit. I love the chair. The chair is showing, so maybe that I will do. And the open legs, I think that's interesting. That I will do. So again, I'm just trying to work fast because I know that then what I could do is find alignments. So what I do with figures, I do a couple of things. I run what I call axis lines. Axis lines are imaginary straight lines that run through the core of different parts of our bodies. So this is a good example, a good example, and we determine where to put them. It's not like there is an exact place for each one of them, but the button shirt could be a good example for an axis line for the torso. Another axis line that I like is when I connect both shoulders, because we have the tendency of making things very symmetric or mirror image like. So postures are very sophisticated, and very rarely we have the same exact angles on each side. So I noticed that this sleeve is more vertical. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend the shoulder, drop, cascade this line. So right now I'm moving from potato shape territory into alignment territory. And I invite you to play with your alignments. This is before even being a portrait assignment, it's a figure painting and a figure drawing assignment, which I'm really excited about. And it's so good that you are decided to join, because it's an incredibly good practice for us. I'll show you some tips. I didn't even clean my brushes, but whoops. I just have my oil jar, and so I don't have to clean them. And I always have them ready. I just have to wipe them. And because it's dripping with oil, what I do is I wipe them with paper first, a paper towel, and then I just straighten them out with, yeah, I think that's good. They're all very messed up, but. So what I do with angles, that's, I talked about alignments, but I'm gonna talk about angles, is I like to use the handle of the brush. I lock my wrist, and then I pivot, and I find out this is okay, but it could be a little bit more dropped. Now, I talked about proportions and how her drawing is very classic. Does it mean that it has to be perfectly proportionate? It doesn't have to be. I could still use some exaggeration. So for example, another thing that I made by mistake or by habit, I completely forgot about the back of the palm, and I put the knuckles way too close to the wrist. It's a very common habit. Since we don't see the palm of the hand, we feel like the palm only exists when it's visible, and we do not recognize the fact that the back of the palm has a space in our hands. This is the palm of my hand, which has somewhat of a rectangular space. Well, guess what? There's the same kind of like shape on the back. And what I did is I went straight to the knuckles and the line between the fingers, and I put it right closer to the wrist, and that creates a very odd cartoonish effect. So again, always be with the predisposition of radically make changes. I situate the knuckles and I situate the wrist. And that could be a good way to make sure that the hand has some space. And this feels already much more harmonious and less odd. So I was just saying before I mentioned this that, here we go, a little bit more drop that way. Okay, see, I don't have to do the fingers, but that'll not, it looks a little bit more natural. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other hand. So let me see the alignment. The wrist is here and the knuckles are here. So I'm holding the umbrella from here. Make sure that I do the back of the palm, and then I'll do the rest of the fingers. Okay, good. So that gives me already a much more natural way of holding. It's not realistic. Well, it is realistic or representational. It's not exact, but it does have a sense of harmonious relationship. I wouldn't say proportion. And I think that's important because what I feel that what we would be frustrated about is if our drawing wasn't harmonious in regards of relationships, and then we added a radical style, it would be a sum-zero game. One thing would cancel the other, and it would be a different art movement. So that's the reason why I'm saying, you know, let's try to work on the drawing as much as we can, and then we can maybe perhaps experiment with the style. But if one thing is not sustaining the drawing or the process, and then we put the other thing as an experiment, it's just going to be one of those, what is it called? I don't know if you guys seen that. It's not a meme. It's those guys or those groups of people that they tried the experiment with the menthol, and they drop it inside of a bottle of Coke. I think it's the menthol. What's the name of the Jen? The name of the candy? Menthos or menthol?
Mentos?
Yeah, and then they drop it in.
And for freshness.
They drop it inside of a bottle of Coke, and then it explodes.
Right.
So that's a little bit too much of a radical analogy. But if you just have a weak drawing with a crazy radical style, it's kind of probably have the same effect. Oh, let me see 1 second, because I have someone. Hey, hey, hey. Shamlu? Okay. Yeah, I apologize for this mini pause, but one of my Shamlu, one of my dogs, she loves to go to the trash, and I put the trash on the floor, and I was hearing some plastic, so she was just like going through the trash. So how about that? Anyhow, apologies for that. I usually have everything pretty much under control, but I just came late. And then, so I have a conundrum right here, and it's a big one, because compositionally, I did not take into account the width of the umbrella. And I don't want to start from scratch right now. So I am going to make something here. I'm gonna slide the umbrella a little bit further to the right. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm not saying that this is something that it will work, but I'm just gonna give this a try. Doesn't have to be a lot, but this could be just enough. This is how aware I want to be when I work with, when I contemplate composition, because this could have been something that it would have bugged me, something that it would have been part of the experience of seeing this painting that would have canceled that experience in a way, because it would have felt not controlled. So I think just moving it slightly to the right, and even making it shorter, and no one needs to know, it's already helping, if you ask me. All these tricks and things and stuff that we have to do. And step back if you can. I'm sitting down because I have a bunch of things going on around me, but step back and trust your eye. Trust your eye. There's something odd and weird, compositionally or proportionately. Just give it a little bit of attention or TLC. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So I didn't finish what I intended to say, which is that we can still incorporate distortion and exaggeration. And we have seen images in paintings that are distorted and exaggerated, but they still feel very much well integrated. Gosh, I was gonna say Elon Musk, the jerk, but no, what's the name of the Egon Schiele. Egon Schiele. I don't know how that happened. Egon Schiele's figures were not exactly proportionate. They were quite exaggerated, but in their exaggeration, there was something powerful. Nothing was really canceling or taking away from the experience. So that's my point. My point is that it doesn't have to be exact. As a matter of fact, you know, I was the other day, I was just reflecting on techniques and tricks and things that throughout art history, painters used to transfer images onto canvases or walls or surfaces. And starting with Velázquez, the most recent discovery that he used mirrors, or what's the other one that we did? I already forgot, but Vermeer, who was a self-taught painter, and there's no way that he could create such sense of replication. And he also used mirrors. So the latest controversy, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. It's quite ridiculous, but it just kept me thinking, because I feel like it's popping up. And you know, sometimes with social media and stuff, it's nice to see the new generation of people just bringing their fresh take. But sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes what I see, it's like a rehash of bad arguments for all things. And this is certainly one of those cases, because there was a post that went viral, and they put together side by side, talk about serendipitousness. The painting of Van Gogh, and maybe Jen, you can help us, because it would be awesome. The painting of Van Gogh of a cafe at nighttime with a yellow awning. I forgot exactly, but I think it was in Paris.
Okay.
And then they brought, I think it was a 1960s or a 1970s painting by someone else of the same cafe, but much more realistic. And the post said that, why are we giving credit to Van Gogh when someone later made a painting that is better? And of course, it's a totally ridiculous argument. And it's a dangerous argument because it values hyperrealism and not style. But just like the internet, you know, once it's out there, then you cannot put it back in the bottle. The genie is out. So it just keeps me. The point is that for me, it's important because we could just trace this. We could just find an app that does this. We can just do so many things to translate it effectively in the same way. And at some point as painters, we have to decide, do we want to do that or do we want something else? So for me, what's important is that we need to go beyond that photographic rendering, because what's unique in our paintings is not just how close we get to the proportions, but how our beautiful brains have captured that figure. So there is something about distortion and imperfection that I think at some point in the future, and mark my words, will be, even though now it's not appreciated, will be more valued than exactness. I'm going to do a little bit of shading because I know that the shading helps me tweak the form. Again, alignments. And for example, I'm okay with this, but there's something odd with this arm. It's not quite there yet. And I feel I need to make a few changes. And as I said, and I stand on my statement, it will take me a little bit longer to start doing the wash, just because I really want the drawing to be strong enough so I can experiment with the style. Because as I said, if we just don't do that and we mix a style that we're not familiar with. If you find that, it was a tweet, but if you find anything related to that, Jen.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know if you are able to summarize it or somehow, or.
Yeah, there's an article, ArtNet did a whole article about it. I'm just trying to actual the other painting so I can post them side by side and then post
them. Okay. Yeah, it was a ridiculous argument, and only an audience that are not painters, sorry to sound snob, would just fall for that trap. Totally ridiculous. But I think the painter also was a female painter, the one of the cafe later.
Oh, hold on.
Or maybe just.
But the woman, I think it was a woman who posted about it. Oh yeah. Let me see.
In other words, some people found more value in someone who did it, but they said did it better than in Van Gogh. And obviously, yeah. So, and better meaning who knows what. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to use as not as copying her style, but also as a way of understanding how she painted faces. She didn't overwork them. And the face of that model in the painting, my gosh, it just doesn't have that much definition. So I'm not going to try to paint a lot here in regards to facial features. And I'm just going to do bone structure, shadow, because I love the hat and the shadow cast on my face. And that's it. Maybe position of the ears compared to the hat, but I'm not going to do much more. At some point in her painting career, when she was trying to learn, because she couldn't go to art school because women were not allowed to go to art school at the time, so she was affluent, so she was able to get painting lessons. And she was fascinated or influenced by Munch, Edward Munch. And I don't know if you can picture that in your minds, but Edward Munch's portraits were not fully developed. I mean, you can to the extreme of my statement, you can visualize the Scream painting and that face. Well, I mean, he didn't do that all the time, but his faces were pretty much synthesized, if I can say that, into very little elements. And she She loved that. She later incorporated her own style. I mean, she created her own style. But there are a few paintings where you can see that Munch influence in the way she painted the face. So I think this is going to be important. So that's why I'm just spending a little bit more time. This already feels like a different kind of portrait that we've made so far during the whole series. And it already feels like so different. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this assignment. And I'm feeling already by doing it that it feels very different. It just feels very different. All right, so I think now the eraser comes into play. I just want to start carving a little bit more. I know that the drawing is just gonna be different as I put painting, but for now, I just want to see what this amounts to. And yeah, I just want to see what it amounts to. I have lots of lovely lavender shadows. I'm excited for that. It's a little bit of the chair. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I think I want to, but we'll see. Yeah, I think that's okay. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. I know that I'll make some tweaks, and obviously when I continue painting, I'll see more differences. But for now, these are the pointers that I want to make clear to myself that I pass. Composition, always number one. Is it intentional? Do I want the figure to be centered? Is there something about the cropping that I intentionally want to transmit? No, I'm happy about the height. I'm so glad I raised the head, and part of the first initial lowering was that I used the same alignment as the photograph. But if you notice, this was not cut. So there's this white piece of paper right here. So I pretended that this was the top of the painting, and I aligned my hat based on the position within the paper. So obviously it ended up being much lower. So right now I feel like it's a little bit more balanced between the sides and the top. It's not too low, although there are very famous examples of, the one that I can think of is the incredible challenging composition of Van Gogh's Postman portraits, because he's positioned in the paintings very low. And there's a lot of like flat walls and textures and patterns behind, but it's very unusual in that sense. So I feel like my arm, it's a little bit shorter, so I think I'm just gonna have to work on the sleeve. I'm already seeing certain things that I want to, maybe I'll just drop this a little bit more, that I want to change. But for now, I think time-wise, yeah, 40 minutes, it's not too bad from what I expected. And I'm ready for my wash. So I'm using 2 liquids, and I'm just gonna go down, and then, because I love this. So yes, 2 liquids, 1 solvent, 1 medium / oil. The solvent is mineral spirits, and we use the Gamblin one, which we love. The Gamsol. I can tell you that when I paint with this, I cannot smell it in the room. I have a window, but sometimes at nighttime when I close the windows, I come into the room, I don't smell this. I smell the paint, but I don't smell this and the oil. So it doesn't have a lot of fumes. So compared to other products, so it's really good. And then I use a combination for the medium. I use a combination of solvent-free fluid, which I know 100% that this is non-toxic. And I use an oil, which is non-toxic either because it doesn't have anything. It's poppy seed oil. And the reason why, it's because I like the paint to stay wet a little bit longer. So just with the medium, I feel it dries too fast. So I just put a little bit of the oil and then it stays wet much longer. Yeah, not much longer, but I just like this combination. It's not the only combination. You can paint only with this, you can paint only with this, you can paint without it, just with the turpentine, I mean the mineral spirits. By the way, speaking of like turpentine, which I always kind of like come across, the other, oh, Darlene, since you're here, I'm just gonna tell you, I went down a rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago because of the term that you taught us, the fact that some people have this aversion to sunflowers, and it has a term that defines it. So I went down the rabbit hole of finding out unusual phobias and philias, I would say. Why not? Everything came up. And it was the time of the Van Gogh and stuff, and if you remember. So there is a condition of people that like to drink turpentine, and it has a name. So it wasn't just that he had a crisis and he drank the turpentine. Apparently, yeah, some people have it. And if it makes you feel better, and all of you guys, some people are afraid of opening the eyes, and there's a name for that condition. So they don't want to open their eyes in the morning. And I forgot already, there were 7 or 8 really, really interesting phobias that I had no idea about. Yeah. Anyhow, let's just go back to this. Yeah, the mediums, the liquids, that's what I'm using. I'm gonna use a big brush right now. And luckily my brain doesn't function well, but it's able to get back to the origin of my conversation. So I think I find this a quality, memory-wise.
Leo,
Yeah.
brain doesn't function well, but I'm lucky that I can get back to the origin. I love you.
Yeah, I don't know. I find a quality in that, but because my memory is just not right, you know, for some reason. And you've seen me do some crazy things, but I'm able to kind of like go back to that. Yeah, I know. Anyhow, so any notes on that controversy?
Yeah, basically what I've read about it is basically that like one person said it best, and they were like the fetish. Oh gosh, I have to read it perfectly because it's the fetishization. Whew, that's a tough word to say. Of realism kills art.
Okay.
And basically, the tweet was these 2 paintings side by side, which are now up on our Google Share photos, so you can see them, and then the tweet is next to it. But basically, this woman posted these 2 paintings side by side and said, "This should expose how overrated Van Gogh is." And then, of course, you know, people just started going at it about how just because something is in the realism style doesn't mean that it's more worthy than something else. And
yeah, these are the 2 paintings.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, on the right you have the Van Gogh painting. On the left you have Hai Xiaoliu, 1962, more skillful than Van Gogh. But yeah, no, just I like what you said. Realism kills art. And these are the paintings. So this is the 62, and this is Van Gogh. Nonsense.
Nonsense.
I'm not saying that that's not good, but that proposition is just ridiculous. So anyhow, so yeah, I'm just gonna do the wash, and there's a lot of dark stuff, and I think I'm just gonna go for it. You know what? I'm just gonna do something different. As I said earlier, I'm not gonna go for replicating the style, but because it could be like putting Mentos inside a bottle of Coke. But she has a beautiful portrait. She used a lot of ochre in her paintings. I'm just gonna use ochre. How about that? I'll use ochre outside. and why not? So, and straight up ochre. How about that? We'll see. But yeah, I'm just gonna go darker to lighter. I'm gonna do a wash. And this could completely change. Already, I like to keep my teen cups dirty. And don't pop. It's possibly not the right advice, but I just love to have extra pigments floating around and then getting picked up because it already creates a much more interesting palette. So my turpentine, it's filled with sediment, and then it just it gets picked up, and then I just love it. So and it works for me in this case. And it's basically the reason why, it's because I'm using a big brush and the sediment, it's at the bottom. So I just went all the way down, and that's why I picked it up. But when I develop the work, then I just don't do that because I use smaller brushes, and then I just don't go all the way in, and I can get a much clearer color. So I revisited the inspiration video yesterday, and I realized that I made a mistake in time. Because at the very beginning, I said that the cerulean color wasn't commercially available in the late 1860s, and she was dead by then. And then I remember, Jen, that you told me that she died closer to the turn of the century. So she was still alive when cerulean blue was commercially available. So I don't know exactly what happened with that, the article mentioning that it was a color that it wasn't available as much, because she died in the 1890s, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 1894. But
Right. And then the cerulean was. Can you check when the cerulean color oil was commercially available? Because either, I mean, I was mistaken, obviously, because I said she was dead already, but she was still alive. So maybe there was a lapse in the article.
Sure. So yeah, she died in 1895, March 2nd, 1895. And then I'll check on when it was commercially available, right?
Yeah, cerulean blue, because I think the blues, and by the way, I got 4 blues. I spend my monthly budget, I guess. I don't have a monthly budget, but for Tuesday, I'm really excited about Roofless in Colloquium, because we're going to explore. I bought Prussian blue. I'm really excited. Cobalt blue, which is very expensive, but it's probably a better blue than ultramarine. We'll find the discovery on Tuesday, but yeah. And then we have cerulean blue. What I'm doing, you guys, is I'm taking the liberty to carry on with the same color, because everything's neutral on the photograph except the skin tone and the hat. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the same color as the background for a wash on those areas, the hat, and even the face. I'm just going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do the whole thing. Maybe I spend more time with the drawing, but right now I'm just totally messing it up, which is good.
Oh, Julio. Okay, so in the Wikipedia of Cerulean Blue, it says her specifically, Bert Meursault painted the blue coat of the woman in her Summer's Day, which is exactly what we're painting, 1879, in cerulean blue in conjunction with artificial ultramarine and cobalt blue.
Well, how about that? How about that? Okay, so it doesn't say that. Does it mention it in the sense that she was the one who pioneered this color, or?
She's the only artist they talk about in this entire. Okay,
but they don't say that she introduced it, or you only say that she used it for this.
So yeah, it says it is particularly valuable for artistic painting of skies because of its hue, its permanence, and its opaqueness. Bert Meursault painted the blue coat of the woman in her Summer's Day, 1879, in cerulean blue in conjunction with blah, 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 blah.
And when was commercially available, the color? Does
Mhm, 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 mhm. I haven't gotten there yet. Okay, it says it was in 1860 first marketed in the UK by color man George Roney.
okay?
So that's the only date that I really
Okay, all
see.
right. 1865, you said.
1860 for him, and then for her, she uses it in 1879.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to believe that, it was a rare color because I know that the channels of communication between, artists in the UK and Paris, I mean, was pretty fluid.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know where that comes from, but
Remember in The Devil Wears Prada when Meryl Streep talks about it? Do you remember that moment in the
no.
movie? Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay. So remember when it's like Anne Hathaway's like one of her first days with her, and they're looking at this line of clothes,
Oh, yes.
and she pulls two belts, and Anne Hathaway starts to giggle, and she's like, "They're exactly the same." Like, actually, they're not. And she's like your sweater is not blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean.
Oh my gosh. Please find that sketch.
Okay, I'll
Please.
post it. I'll post it. Good.
we will we will
Can,
share it.
can I put a video in the Google?
Give it a try. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, give it a try. I've never tried it, but yeah. Oh wow. That's gonna be so perfect for the Roofless Ink Colloquium. Okay, so I'm done with my wash. That was it. I am a little in normal circumstances. I would have started with the first notes already like at 11:45, 45 minutes in. But this is not a normal painting because I want to give a little bit more attention to the figure. So even though I'm not just kind of like going about the same pacing, I'm not worried because I feel it's important to give a different strategy to this work. So as I said before, even if I do drawing in a wash, which is not going to happen, obviously, I would be okay with it. And yeah, so I have drawing in a wash and then I have an entire hour. Okay, so what did I do for the wash? You guys, since we have four, I don't know if that's proper or not. We'll find out eventually. But I use zinc white, a tad of zinc white. The reason is because I didn't want to use titanium because it's too white, and white is not a good color to use for a wash anyhow. But I just thought that maybe a little bit of zinc could keep the whiteness. It didn't. So it's possibly going to bite me back because if I have to do certain darker things here, it's not going to allow me to do so. We'll see. And then we'll learn. All right, so I think I'm good with my wash. I need to kind of like step back, and then I already know that there are certain things that I'm going to change in the wash, but I'm going back to proportions. So now that I have some color here, I'm so glad that I shortened this area right here because with a darker color, it would have been magnetized even further to the edge. And then I don't know, I just feel like personally, I want to make sure that there is the right staging for the positive surfaces, meaning the positive objects. I'm very keen on that, just at a personal level, but at the same time, because I know that it's something that it's continuously overlooked. So I would only approve of it if um, someone would be completely aware of it, and then they would just decide not to do it because of their premise, the painting premise. But until then, I think it's still very important to work composition in a way that doesn't interfere with the experience of seeing the painting. All right, so I'm just gonna go in, and I'm feeling that I think I'm just gonna start with the background, because it's really dark, and I'm mixing ochre and a little bit of raw umber. And what I'll do is, with a medium brush, no turpentine or mineral spirits, and yeah, I'm just gonna draw the figure from outside. I just love that self-portrait that she did with all these squiggly lines outside. It felt like she was cooking or prepping an omelet. The way she paints, it's like omelet painting, like beating an egg. It's so incredible. And create fluff. It's like it's insane. Yeah, so interesting, and definitely a step up from the rest of her contemporaries in that sense. I don't know if this color will stay, but for now, I'm taking the liberty of using it in order to help me with the edge. I'm trying to bring some defining edges. And in fact, I don't think this is a bad strategy. As you know, I always recommend to work on the peripheral areas before you actually tackle, in certain cases, the subject. And the reason is because you can develop a lot without adding too much work yet, and then you'll need to do less. All right, so I'm still basing my basing my decisions on observation. So I'm using this as a reference, but I'm not retracing because I already see things that are totally different. Yeah, most of the information that I found, it was in Wikipedia, but also there is a very, very good interview that the curator of the show at the Dallas Museum recently, or a few short years ago, did with someone else. And she explains how they put together the show, and she explains other information that I couldn't find anywhere else. And she's the one who mentions the fact that some of her critics at the time, they saw in her, they labeled or they stuck two flaws, quote unquote flaws. They said that she had potential for painting, obviously, because she was really good. But they found issue in her not finishing her paintings, which was not the case, because that was completely intentional. But they didn't understand. They thought it was, she could have been good if she finished the work. That's a pretty harsh criticism, not constructive, if you ask me. And the second thing is that her style of painting was so advanced and so radical that instead of seeing it as something coming out of a genius hand, they started to associate that style with her biology. So they said that, because she was a woman, that's why she painted with the squiggly lines in a very histrionic way. These were not all the art critics, but as you can imagine, some people went there in order to excuse the fact that they didn't understand that that was ahead of their time, and it was coming from the hand of a genius. But that's that only tells you, all the, as I said, all the odds that she had to constantly faced in order to do what she loved the most. All right, so I love the inclination of the shoulders. I'm just gonna work on that. I need to drop them. Although on the painting, and I did an image right here, because there is something really powerful about that. I'm just gonna bring it. I did 2 copies and see if I can just explain what I said about how the figure, it's not necessarily correct proportionately. I don't know if you can see it a little bit. It's not super visible, but her head, it's a little bit sunk on the shoulders, and there's a sense of like that being very rigid, and also it transcribes a feeling of anxiety almost. But the shoulders are not, they're tense. They're not really relaxed. So there's something that then I analyzed. I mean, we talked about it with someone else. I saw the image right next to it, and Kian tried his best, but I see things that are different. Shoulders are tight. They're really tight, and the head's a little bit in an awkward position compared to the shoulders. Of course, she's wearing a blouse that has like a turtleneck or some sort of like ruffles. So that could also be part of the illusion of the head being a little bit lower. But there's certainly something awkward about the way the torso faces sort of like a shy 3/4 perspective, but then the head, it's not, I mean, I don't know, there's not a perfect anatomical replication, which I think it's kind of like wonderful. But the reason why I said this is because when you do the shoulder line, see the angle, see how if it drops or if it doesn't, and especially see if it's a slight 3/4, you're gonna have a shorter distance from the recessed shoulder and a slightly longer distance from the shoulder that's a little bit closer. So on figure drawing, these things get completely overlooked, and what we have, it's like a robotic mirror image, perfectly aligned, that has no life. So sometimes exaggerating that, it's a good idea. So I see that this is slightly lower, so I'm just gonna cut. And that's why this work, doing this work right now, it's much more important than if I start doing the folds and all that kind of nonsense. It's not nonsense, but this is really important. I love the shadows underneath, so I don't know what I'm gonna do there, but maybe I'll just leave this unfinished. I'll bring some gray. I'm experimenting with color, and definitely she also did, which is kind of cool. I'll do a cool gray at the bottom because it was all about the light. So why not create this sense of like a reflection since I have it on the concrete. So I'm intentionally making all these decisions on the background because I know that they will contribute to the development of the painting, and then I will only have to do highlights on the shirt, highlights on the pants, and then work on the rest. But if I do this right now, it will give me the right context. And I know I mentioned this, but I think I will, just in case you haven't watched the video, I love the fact that in her marriage, it was the husband who gave up painting and not her. This was the case of her sister. When her sister got married, she gave up painting. She was a painter. She painted with her, with Berthe. But when she got married, when Berthe Morisot got married, her husband supported her and he gave up painting. It's pretty remarkable for the time. I wonder if he got criticism for it because he was the brother of, I think, Manet, right? I think in the video I said Monet, but it was Manet. Oh, and by the way, her daughter's name was Julie, and she was a model in most of her paintings. So that's why the password for this session, we put that name, Julie. So Jen, if you can, on the Wikiquote page of, her name, towards the bottom, there is, I think the last quotes, there's a paragraph of the letter she left for Julie, her daughter, before she passed away. If you can find it and you can read it, you will forever fall in love with her, because it's such a beautiful letter.
Okay. You want me to read it to you guys?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, if not,
okay.
yeah, if you can, that'd be great. If not, that's okay.
Sure. No,
but I just felt like, that was a really, and it shows the kind of person she was, I have to say. I think it's important to kind of like appreciate. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like doing some gray, some darker notes. Yeah, I think so. Darker to lighter. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. That's looking quite impressionistic already, and it's yeah. I still have some time. I feel like my drawing, it's very rigid still. I feel like things are very vertical. There's not a sense of a certain hunch forward. I see it right now. It's not bad because since I see it, I can recognize it, bring awareness to it, and then work with it. But I definitely feel there's a sense, maybe the armpit is too high. I think this needs to be a little bit lower. This needs to come out a lot more. So yeah, let me just add a few notes of darkness on the head and the face. The way she painted the faces, also a few strokes, not overworked at all. So I'm just gonna try to, I'm not gonna copy her style because it's impossible and I would make something very horrible, but I will take some of her premises and play with them or work with them, because I think that I can do. The thing is that she did learn a lot by seeing other painters. So in a way, I find it just right to learn from her this time, because she did go to the Louvre and copied some of the paintings there. So the fact that we're just learning from her now, I think that's beautiful. That is totally weird, but that's okay. Totally okay. It's totally okay. The look doesn't matter. Don't worry about what this looks like. There's always room to make changes.
Okay, I found the letter.
Okay, can you?
Okay, yes. My dearest little Julie, I love you as I lie dying. I shall still love you when I am dead. I beg of you, do not cry. This parting was inevitable. I would have liked to be with you until you married. Work hard and be good as you always have been. You have never caused me a moment's sorrow in your little life. She was 16 at the time. Julie was. You have beauty, good fortune, use them well. I think the best thing would be to live with your cousins in the Rue de Villejuste, but I do not wish to force you to do anything. Give a memento of me to your Aunt Edma and to your cousins too, and give Monet's painting Bateau en Reparation to your cousin Gabrielle. Tell Degas that if he found a museum, he is to choose a Manet, a keepsake for Monet, one for Renoir, and one of my drawings for Bertolme. Give something to the two concierges. Do not cry. I love you more than I can tell you. So sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was really sweet and super. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful letter. Yeah. And what a great relationship she had with her daughter. It's, I mean, I don't know. It just feels like not only with her paintings, obviously, and Edma was her sister, the painter, as well. So that's why she mentions her aunt. Um, yeah. All right, so I'm just kind of like going about, I look like a bandit right now with a mustache, but I'm using the big brush, but probably that wasn't the right choice of words. But anyhow, I apologize if I offended anyone. So I am going to, what am I going to do? Just kind of like start bringing a flesh tone. And I feel with the flesh tones, she used, for flesh tones, she loved lavenders and violets and mauves and everything. So obviously these colors are very imagined or suggested. There's a lot of pink and a lot of purple and the skin tones when she painted. So I feel like this time I'm going to go about and create a different formula for the tone of the skin. And I usually use the burnt sienna and the ecru, or the burnt sienna and the light pink, but I'm going to use the pink and the ecru this time to create something much more pinkish. Just to see what it does, because I just feel like that could be a good first base. And let me just check if it's, yeah, that's actually a really nice skin color. So how about that? Yeah, just the pink and a little bit of that, I'm sorry, ecru and a tad of pink. Just creates more of like a pastel-y, softer, kind of like skin tone that I think with the browns, it could be a good addition for now. And to make it darker, I'm just gonna mix it with the raw umber. I think so, and a little bit of blue to remove the green cast. It's too, yeah, I think that's probably better. All right, so I'm just kind of like practicing skin tones, different values. I think that's good. And then I'm gonna go to the forearms and the hands. I'm just gonna paint the whole thing together as a group. I'm not gonna do details right now. Yeah, it's not a bad skin color actually. Those two mixed together, this is a good discovery as a base, and then we can always manipulate it. Yeah, good discovery. So again, ecru and a tad of the light pink that we have, the neutral that I have to find a name for. All right, yeah, so that's good. I'm happy. It's just moving forward. I'm just happy about the slight definition. Maybe I'm already going to second note territory. I think I am. I'm not breaking down things too much because I feel like part of what she did was certainly much more fluid. It didn't feel like she went stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Everything was more of a organic, fluid progression that moved in crescendo, and it didn't really have differences. So perhaps that's another thing that I'm going to try to incorporate here. Not so much the style, but trying to, or seeing this more as a fluid crescendo, rather than just like what we do. Okay, first note, second notes, blah, blah, blah. No. I think, yeah, it would be interesting to later, we can talk about it and see if you guys agree, but there's not so much as a staged or by stages. It's more of a continuum. And I find that this is working in that sense, that continuum. All right, so since we're not into stages, which is a great discovery, I'm gonna bring titanium white right now. Titanium white right now, because I think that's a very, whoa, great decision. It's a really defining element. So here I just, here I come with this chalky, super opaque titanium white. And I'm drawing the shirt. I'm drawing the shirt. I'm gonna lower this a tad because I feel like it's a little bit too high. So I'm gonna also, instead of like, definitely, I'm not gonna do any blending. I'm just gonna be like piece by piece. So I observe, and then with a medium brush, I kind of like add. I think that's good. I love the shadow on the armpit and on my stomach. So I'm just gonna bring that flat. Yeah, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm loving it. I'm gonna give myself some, yeah, brownie points. I think this was the right thing to do. Concentrate on the background first, and it's going well. It's going well, I think. I don't know who this person is, but I don't care. It was a good decision. I think it was good. So I'm really excited because this is helping us to break down or learn how she possibly did this from a painter's point of view, not from an art critic point of view. Because I feel like, you know, sometimes when I read art criticism, I feel like they're missing the point, or they're missing a point, the point from the painter's view. And I know that some art critics are also painters and they know what they're talking about, but I just feel like in her case, I didn't read anything from a painter's point of view, except there was an article, I forgot, I have it somewhere, but on a recent American exhibition, and yeah, the writer, the art critic, talked about the absence of object, the absence of object meaning the absence of physicality in her paintings. Her subjects are defined by her strokes, but they're not really solid, which I absolutely love. I love that description of the work, and it's completely from the painter's point of view. So this is another good lesson for us, because we have a tendency to paint too much and give too much of a solid layer. And we don't have to. So piecemeal. I'm stitching some of the highlights with a titanium white. I don't know if that's going to be a good decision or not, because if I want to change something, it's going to be very hard. Once the titanium white goes on, good luck if you want to just replace it or reposition it. plus it takes a while to dry. It's not an easy color to work with, because if you want to replace things, because it takes a while to dry. Yeah, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. All right, so I'm just gonna continue. I'm loving this application. I went, instead of going darker to lighter, I'm going lighter to darker this time, or at least lighter. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like transitions. Maybe I am going to do, yeah, let's kind of like do what she did or what she loved. She loved her whites. She loved her white paint. She loved her pastel notes, variations of the temperature of the white, something really vibrant and fluffy and cotton candy-like in the way she approached it. So I'm just going to continue with the titanium white, and I'm going to bring some gray, or perhaps just like she didn't use gray in her, the gray in her palette, it's mixed with other colors, I think. But let's just go for it. Who cares? I don't know. I'm just going to use the Payne's gray for the darker areas. I think that's good. I'm still using a medium brush, and I feel I'm not going to change, because that's another thing about her work. Another thing that I'm discovering. I don't think she used tiny brushes to make any miniature details here. My guess is that she was pretty comfortable with a very small range of brush size, because everything feels pretty much painted with a similar size. There's no definition in details, and you know that if you change your brush to a small size, you will eventually go in and make details. I don't think she went there. My guess. I don't know if that would be the case or not. But because of it, I think I'm going to stick with a medium brush. I'm not going to go to small brush. But yeah, I think that would be my guess. And here I am. I'm trying to get something darker, and I think it's just going to be a pain in the butt. But that's okay. So there was, I read it somewhere, there was someone mentioned this way of painting almost as if it were fencing, using the brush as a short sword, and then doing some kind of like cuts. So I think I'm going to incorporate, see, I mean, this is the beauty of really unpacking something through the painter's view. Perhaps I'm not going to use a middle. I usually grab my brush from the middle of the handle. It gives me not too much control, and it's not too loose. What if for this assignment, we kind of like move our handle or our hold to a little bit further away? I'm just going to give it a try. I think that could be good for the purposes of finding out what this could do to our painting. Does it feel like I'm trying? Yeah, probably at this point, it feels like I'm probably trying to replicate her style. I am not. But I just love to experiment with what I think she used. And I feel like, you know, I could use that same premise incorporated with I'm not worried about this looking more or less like my work, because I know that it's going to look like my work, even, regardless, my work meaning my style. I never worry about that. I just feel like this could have a different flavor. A different flavor. I'm going to mix the light blue and the pink to create a lavender tone that was frequently used as a cast shadow for certain areas. obviously, you know, she painted for sure. Um, she painted this from life, this painting on the boat. So there's no way that they had the same level of convenience, obviously, that we have right now, because she had to make quick decisions. And I wonder sometimes if that was part of the trick, because when you paint something that's moving or that changes really fast, you don't have time to, you know, meditate about if that's right or wrong. You just have to do it. And in return, that gives you a sense of a dynamic sense, a sense of movement. So I wonder if the challenge or difficulty of painting from life also contributed to that sense of uh, vibrancy. For paintings. It would be interesting to explore that possibility. So I'm just bringing a little bit more of the white here. And there's a little bit of that gray on the sleeve. And I feel like this is becoming a little bit too regular. So I'm just gonna bring some of the ochre. I think I'm gonna start bringing some, no, I'm gonna leave it. I was gonna say I wanna bring some green, but I think I'm just gonna keep this rusty color. Yeah, I think the rusty color works. Let's just bring some Van Dyke brown. Yeah, something's up with this. And now I see that it's more, I need to bring my hip forward a lot more. Okay, so now I'm just encountering certain things that they need certain drawing elements that they need to be taken into account that I didn't do. Yeah, they needed to stick out a little bit more. All right, and I think what I'm gonna do is, no, I'm correcting myself. So let me just bring some ecru and then try to bring some shadows on the pants. I think the holding of the brush also helps. I need to bring darker elements at the bottom, so this feels like there's no light underneath the chair. So I think that's gonna be good. And I need to shape the, yeah, I'm shaping the knee. So as I add some highlights, I'm also tweaking the drawing for sure, the drawing. Let's just go back to the timing. I have half an hour, so I just don't, but yeah, I think I need to have some sort of strategy here, because even though this feels like a little bit more fluid, and I'm trying to go about it in a little bit more fluid way. So I'm not going to work on the background just because I feel like it's important, or I'm going to take her inspiration basically and leave the background underdeveloped, completely underdeveloped. But I think I'm going to dedicate 15 minutes on the body and the umbrella and 15 minutes on the face, because I feel like there's something important to develop there, the hat and the face. So that will be my strategy for the next half an hour, 15 minutes on the body, and then I need to move the hands already. I'm already seeing things that need to be repositioned radically right now that I didn't see at the very beginning. Even though I spent like 40 minutes with the drawing and I thought I had some alignments right, I now realize that things are just not all over the place in that sense. So I'm just going to move, like, for example, the forearm has a little bit of an arch. I'm gonna move it down, and someone is calling me, but I don't know why. Sorry. So I'm just gonna move the arm a little bit lower, and then I'm already making adjustments on the hip. I'm gonna work on the armpits because I think that's gonna make a distinction between the torso and the sleeves, because right now it's not enough. And that is an overlooked area. Armpits and the lines where the arms, if they're like touching the body, yeah, we just don't work the light and the shadows there. And the only thing it looks, again, it looks like a cardboard box with two cutout lines on each side. And it doesn't work that way. So this is a good opportunity to explore the different values on the armpit, and then how the arms, if they are attached to the body, how what kind of shadows they create. All right, so let's just move forward. Yeah, half an hour. Okay, let's do this. I need to bring that shadow down. That's for starters. And I feel like my eyes, there's a moment, you know, when the cameras, they switch, I don't know if that's when they switch from light vision to night vision, and then the colors change. So I feel like when I work with a photograph, there's a moment where I feel like there's a switch. I saw gray before, and I saw ecru and pink. Now I see orange. Now I see purple. Now I see pink. It's always like a flip, and it happens like in a very short time. So yeah, that's what I see, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna bring
Julio, Lois was saying that she feels like titanium white is the real star of today, not so much of zinc white.
I agree. I think that's a good statement. Yeah, I'm running out of it already. It's a good statement. Yeah, it's a good statement. I would agree with that. And I love that that's happening. But yeah. I'm just gonna bring this line. Whoops. I also feel like I'm gonna use the tip of the brush as a drawing tool this time. So maybe there's gonna be more linear work. Defining edges. I feel like that could be something that I feel I need to apply differently, because I usually advocate for vanishing linear elements and just letting the values create edges. But I think with this, I need to bring lines, and I'm going to use the brush more of in a perpendicular way, and bring some linear tones. So what I'm also noticing, and I feel like it's something now, it was all happy thoughts and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like painting this way, I have to be careful not to add too much paint, because I'm feeling like this pixelated way of painting, it's becoming, really thick with paint. And then I want to change something, and then I have a thicker layer of oil, and I know how that ends. It ends in a porridge of colors. So let me just, I just ran away from this area because it was getting too much buildup. And now I'm just moving to something a little bit safer, which was the white area. All right, so let me just bring some of the blues. Whoa, that's way too bright. This area is much darker. So I want to make sure that this reads dark. And again, the armpit. So the armpit, let me just bring the Payne's Gray, the coal black, and try to create a line that would separate, even if it's too dark, that's okay. Whoa, that's probably not okay. It's way too dark. Yeah, it's a little bit on the super dark side, but let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it. And then from that, I'm just gonna bring some grays and try to build the sleeve on that direction. I'm just gonna pinch the black. I think that's not bad. I'm gonna pinch the black outward because the line is definitely too black and I don't wanna wipe it. I wanna take advantage of it. Yeah, I think that's good. And now I can bring a line of blue and another one right here. And there is some highlight on the sleeve and some right here. Let's bring a little bit the fold. And some pink bounce. So here's the thing about this way of approaching painting. If you don't create enough definition, it could be way too pixelated. And then it's just, it feels very mosaic-like. So there's a balance between choppiness and definition. I just feel like, you know, you have to create a range. This is not a piece of cake. It's just like, because otherwise it'll be all pointillistic. And then, yeah, we don't want that. So I'm just gonna bring a darker shadow on the forearm. The shadow also right here on the arm, and bringing some white on the hand. Fingers, I don't know. I'm just gonna do the highlight. Maybe I should bring some, whoa, that was not good, this white. And then there's some purple right inside. And I'm just gonna bring the illusion of the parasol. There's another painter, and he was a Spanish painter. His name was Joaquin Sorolla. Joaquin Sorolla, he's famous for this outdoor scenes at the beach with families, and he used a lot of different kinds of white for the light. Yeah, quite extraordinary painter, I should say, from Valencia.
What's his name, Julio?
Joaquin Sorolla. Sorolla, Sorolla. Not
Cool.
here.
Thank you.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I just said thank you. I'll post some of his
Yeah,
work.
yeah, because he has some incredible images of figures at the beach.
Oh my gosh. Just okay.
Right. Okay, so I'm just defining the umbrella a little bit. It's not quite, I feel like I want to define this a little bit more, but it's not. All right, let's just go for the yellow ochre on the other side. Maybe if I do the sticks, the stick, the handle, and I said I was gonna do this a little bit lighter. Okay, I think that's good. And I'm gonna bring some white also on the ruffle part of the ruffle part of the umbrella. Well, you know, it's just gonna be one step at a time. It's gonna be one step at a time. I'm gonna bring the dark Van Dyke brown because I want to define. I want to bring some depth on that side of the painting, so this feels a little bit lighter. And see if you can help me define the forearm. Yeah, Van Dyke brown is such a fantastic color. The warm black. All right, so yeah, I just brought that slight definition. All right, so I think I'm just gonna stop here because I mean, it's pretty, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I need to develop it a little bit more. It feels pretty, but that's not the end game here. So I need to bring this side of the color, and I need to work on the shirt, the button, where the buttons are. I think that's going to be a good idea. Yeah, I think that's helping. Yeah, it definitely helps. The color reflection on that side and the area where the buttons are. And I'm squeezing out of here because I need to bring more titanium white. Okay. And this has been really helpful. So in one Ziploc, I have the palette that you saw at the bottom. These are all the staple colors. So organizing it this way, make it super easy to find the paint, and it keeps it organized and it doesn't move as much. Yeah, so I was trying also, because we talked about Van Gogh a couple of weeks ago, I tried to find out if there was a friendship or kind of like a relationship, and or if they met or something. I did not find anything, despite the fact that they did have paintings showing in the same show when they were both alive. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know, that's kind of interesting. So much that I'm seeing that I want to continue bringing pieces of it. All right, let's go to the face. It's not bad. I'm liking it a little bit, but I'm just gonna go back to the face. Maybe I'll just move to, I think I'm gonna move to a smaller brush here. Not super tiny, but sorry, Bert, but I'm moving to small brushes. Maybe a better medium brush. Yeah, a less frayed medium brush. All right, so I'm gonna do darker to lighter. I'm still a medium brush, but not as frayed. And I'm gonna try to bring angles, diagonals, rather than try to draw too much. Yeah. Darker to lighter, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm working a little bit slowly here. But I'll try first with the facial hair. I'll try to just bring the darker notes on the face. And also try not to overwork the face. I think that's possibly the key here. try not to overwork it. All right, so, and then I think I'm gonna bring some of that skin color, open up the forehead. It was like too cut. The ears. Okay, so, all right, let's just do some work on the hat. 15 minutes, so it's not a bad, yeah, I'll bring some color down here. I think that's a good idea. Define the hat. All right, yeah, I mean, yes. So let's kind of like keep moving forward. Yeah, so I'm just building over the wash, creating more opacity, trying to concentrate on simplifying and not focusing on details. So I'm not gonna do eyes or anything. I'm doing bone structure. Yeah, I think that's okay. And there's some darkness right there. So I'm just gonna bring a darker note on this other side to create a sense of, yeah, perfect. And then some titanium white with ochre. Because I love the brim, the highlight on the brim, on the edge of the brim. Yeah, I think that's good. So sometimes if the brush is too thick and it creates a thick line, what I do is I make the line and then I go back to the inside of the surface and then I just push the paint against and try to thin out that area, if that makes any sense. Just gonna bring some darker notes from the outside and also push it in so it thins out that edge. The head was way too regular. I just, I now realize that I had to change, whoops, I just hit the camera. Okay, so this is like slowly developing and I still have more than 10 minutes, which is great. And I'm gonna go now to the inside of the face because I feel like that's gonna be helpful overall. And I'm squinting my eyes. I think I need to do here a little bit of a game of, okay, good. I'm just testing the colors and I feel like I need to start darkening certain spots. Okay. I'm not gonna do facial features yet because I feel like that's the catch. If I do them too early, then it just feels awkward and weird. So I'm just gonna bring darker notes. Yeah, bring darker notes. Yeah, it's like a little bit too high, looks, right? Yeah, looks like a little bit too high. That's okay. So yeah, facial features, well, I guess I'm just gonna bring now the eyebrow. And yeah, let's see if I can just lighten this up a little bit. I'm trying too hard. That's the problem. I'm trying too hard. And then everything starts to feel way too drawn. I'm trying too hard. Let's see if I can just push back the shadow. Okay, that's good. There's a lot of red. And that may be the photograph, obviously, but I'm bringing some burnt sienna. Okay. Okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna continue working on this because it's a small area. There's a lot. I'm gonna bring some zinc white here. I think that could be a good idea to bring some lightness without creating chalkiness. I need to create a beard, so I'll just bring some of the yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. So one bit at a time. I'll get there. Yeah. It's just persistent. Sometimes it's just about persisting and continue adding what we see. That's it's just going. It's moving somewhere. It's not static. So that's good. And I'm glad I lowered the eyebrows a little bit. Yeah, well, listen, yeah, well, just gonna blend a tad here, bring some lightness to the side, underneath. The nasolabial wrinkle, just, it's so tiny. I'm trying to define it without making it too strong. Oops. Yeah. And okay. All right. So I'm just like slowly building up some highs and lows. I can see more stuff now. Let me see. Okay, so I think it's kind of like going towards a more defining space. But I need to spend more time in this. Yeah, I have 5 minutes. Okay, that's good. So I feel like sometimes we just have to, what is it? Sometimes we just have to let go because if we are trying too hard to make something look like something, we will get really frustrated. So I just feel like sometimes you just have to let it go. So right now I'm just using a small brush. Because my vision has had a chance to recalibrate to this area. And I feel like right now, sorry, I feel like right now I could spend some time with some details. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's it. Slowly, the head looks a little bit too big. All right, well, there's gonna be a lot of cutting going on because I feel like, you know, it's like a big head. All right, let me bring some of the tones on the hair on this side. Maybe that could help. Yeah, and I need to bring the ear in. So I'm making lots of changes in that section. So what I'm doing essentially right now is just molding the face, parts on the face. Because I feel like it needs to, yeah, it needs to be rein it in. Yeah, I think that's the expression, right? I don't know. Rein, yeah. All right, so some of the hair, yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring some lightness right here because there's a light bouncing back. And then bring some darkness. I need to start cutting in. Yeah, I think the face, I'm gonna leave the face like that. And I realize now that I did the face, I need to change things about the shoulders. They're just like they're not relaxed enough. So I need to make them more relaxed. And I feel like I need to expand them a little bit because the head's definitely too big. So I may just need to bring this shoulder out. And that already may help a little bit. And then bring the shoulder down. It's gonna be a lot of dark, I think, in this painting. Yeah, I think that's okay. And I feel like that shoulder, no, I think that's good. That shoulder is okay. Yeah, I wish I could go back a little bit, but to see it from a distance, I have the screen. I think that's good. All right, so I'm just gonna go to the object. I think I don't know if I can go to the object. It's like already time, but I will. So I'm just gonna bring some grays right here and define the object a tad more. Just because I think it's important. And the grays underneath the hold. Well, I don't know how she did it, but this, yeah, that alone, I think it just helped a little bit to create the idea of the parasol. This is, if she was painting in that boat, I would be throwing up by minute 5 because I get seasick really easily. So I have no idea how, I mean, she did it. It's pretty remarkable. I don't know how big the painting is. I mean, we can find out, but this is, I'm just gonna leave it here. I think I need to work on it massively. I find that proportion, I was like talking about proportion, and I think I still need to work a lot about proportion because it's not quite where I want it. I need to lengthen the arms, maybe just bring the armpit a little bit further. So connect sleeves with forearms. I'm happy about the face. I think the beard looks okay. and I need to soften the clownish, eyebrows and stuff. The head I'm happy about, but there's a disconnection between that and the body. So I just feel like maybe I'll need to take the head as a starting point and then see if I can rebuild parts of the body in that sense, because it just feels like too short. Maybe just I need to bring the armpit also, this armpit a little bit to the right. So I think on Tuesday, I'm going to work on it a little bit more, but there's going to be a lot of repositioning and recalibrating. I'm not concentrating in the style. I think I'm fine with the whites and the grays, and I think that's okay. But I just feel like I need to do a lot more work with proportions. So I'm gonna pause the recording. If you, no, if you, there's no if. Take a break, drink water, stretch. If you have any cramps, any breaks that you need to take, and we'll reconvene at let's put 1:12, and then upload before 1:12 if you can, and if not, yeah, and also, yeah, we'll do a head count in regards to how many people are there and then need to do feedback. But the group critique is very helpful in that sense. It's inspiring, and it gives us different directions that we can incorporate to our own painting. Okay, so I'll see you at 1:12. Okay, now, yeah.
Hi, friends. We're good.
Hi. And we're back. Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh, I got like a cramp on my back trying to paint the beard or something. So it was good to have a break. I was just organizing the images in the folder. I'm just gonna go ahead. Thanks, Jen. You did an amazing job as always. I tried to reposition them. I love that you put the letters. So these were the paintings. This is the object of our assignment. And any questions during the session, Jen, that you saw?
No, nope. The only thing that really was chatted about was the titanium white. So good.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. And I just picked the ones that I thought they were the most extraordinary. I am completely fascinated by this painting. I've never seen it before, but this is just ridiculous. It's so ridiculously brilliant that it makes me upset. Sometimes that happens with
you are mad.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and true. Oh my gosh, let me just also let people unmute themselves if you want to jump in or something. But yes, and my second favorite is this one because of the use of charcoals and browns. It's something that it's not typical, and the composition here, it's beyond. I find it so radical and yes, revolutionary. And on your face, this is what I can do, and also non-complying. There's something about it that I like in its rebelliousness. Yeah, I mean, the rest, this is obviously exquisite. It's very Degas-like, superior than Degas, in my opinion. But you could argue that this is more in line with compositionally, though this is quite radical and revolutionary because the figure slightly to the left. It's a landscape orientation, so it's not typical orientation. Let's talk about the reflection on the mirror. So there's something that compositionally feels definitely radical, revolutionary, and superior than Degas. But you could argue that's in line with the theme or the subject matter. When this, it's just feels like so new and different. And yeah, some cerulean blue right up here also, by the way. And again, I'm infatuated with this portrait of Julie, her daughter. And this is one example of how and why she had influences of Edvard Munch, because it does feel slightly, a little bit like Edvard Munch. But what I'm really fascinated about, not only the color palette, obviously, but it's this chair right here. This chair is just bonkers. And its etherealness. So it's the non-objectuality of uh, um, the positive space that art critic talked about. No question in my mind that she was way superior than the majority of her contemporaries. No question. Yeah, I mean, it's case closed. I mean, the use of the line, remember that I said, just bring the line when things are not defined. So this is a good example of that, you know, how she just brought that stroke to define the fingers. But I mean, just look at this. I mean, come on, look at the book. Look at the dress and the transparency, the way it's scratched. There's a certain aggression in there. But then you step back and it just reads so beautifully. I know that beautiful, it's a redundant word, but you know, yeah, superior that her contemporaries, yes. I think his name was Paul Hogan. I think so. So the painting, I'm just gonna take some time, but the painting, Summer Day, that painting currently doesn't have an owner because there's a controversy. There's a collector in Ireland who bought the painting and others. So on his will, he said he was giving the painting to the National Gallery in Britain, which was shocking from an Irish patriot to give up this treasure to you know the British Empire. That was like crazy. So apparently in the will, unexpectedly, there was I forgot the name of the legal term, that said that no, the paintings needed to go back to Dublin. And that was so unexpected and suspicious that the British Museum or the National Gallery did not recognize that in the will. And right now, it doesn't have an owner. The British Museum, I'm sorry, the National Gallery says that it belongs to them, and the museum in Dublin says that it's part of their collection. So I think there's an agreement right now that the painting goes back and forth. Right now, I think it's in the National Gallery. But this was so controversial that one Irish painter, his name was Paul, I think Paul Hogan. I think it was the same name as the celebrity. He was so upset that he went to the National Gallery with his friend. He grabbed the painting. This is the painting Summer Day. And his friend took a picture of him stealing the painting from the collection. And he took the painting to the Irish embassy in London and gave it to them. So he was not arrested because I don't know why, but he was not thrown in jail, but then they just put the painting back in the National Gallery. But this is a photo of Paul the painter going inside and grabbing this specific painting, Summer Day, and taking it to the Irish embassy. And having said that, I'm gonna watch the video of the cerulean blue. I remember that right now, and oh, you have it. I'm just gonna, if we have time, I'll play it later. But at the end, Sorolla, I mean, extraordinary. I mean, I use extraordinary and beautiful, but Sorolla was another exceptional painter. I think it was a little bit, I think it was post-impressionism. I'm not sure. We'll find out. My palette, thanks Jen for the shot. Darlene, I'm gonna start with you. This is a great photo, but your painting is much better. I absolutely love the stage that you have it right now.
I have to tell you, I had to stop painting about 1240, much earlier, because there was too much solvent on there. Everything was starting to drip, so I stopped painting for a while.
Okay.
So it's really in an early stage.
This is the best early stage I have seen from you in a long time. Great drawing. I love the way it's painted. It's beautiful. The way it is right now, it's remarkable. I cannot tell you pointers right now because I just feel like it's very early. But I will say that compositionally, I find it interesting the fact that there's so much negative space, but the figure is still visible. It doesn't feel forced, it feels intentional. Um, so I don't have anything against it. I think if anything, it makes the painting much more interesting. It's a good example on how to break that rule of making things balanced by bringing some exaggerated, intentional, different point of view. So yeah, just go for it, work with it. It's beautiful. I like the direction of the palette. Very interesting. I don't know. I'm really excited.
I mean, I love this kind of paint. This, I love this. This is my thing. I was a little worried about the glasses in the eyes, and I wanted to keep the shirt. I don't want to do the all the stuff on the shirt and all that.
Yeah, I think I agree. Well, we'll see how that goes. I think drawing wise, I feel the sketch is better than the photo. There's a sense of like a movement, and in the photo there's a sense of aplomb. I don't know if that defines that, may be conceptually better because there's a sense of livelessness and unhappiness. I feel like your portrait has more of a dynamic, dynamic. I think that's what I would say. So it's better than the photo in that sense. Maybe conceptually not, but I would stick with the sketch. Don't change anything because I like this sort of like unevenness of the shoulders, the fact that the head feels really sticking out. Something about the position of the hands that feels there's almost weight because the hands right here, they feel reposed on the lap, but not on your
ways to pose.
not on your sketch. On your sketch, they feel like they're holding on the left side, they're holding the shoulder. So there is a sense of weight. There's a sense of tension of the hand really pushing against the thigh. So conceptually may not be as good as the photo, but I think visually it is better than the photo.
Okay.
So
I mean, should I just go with my gut on this one?
yes, trust your gut. You have a really strong sketch, darker to lighter, love the color direction. And yeah, I like the chair actually. I think that I see it right now. See if you want to put it or not, but I think it would be interesting. And in regards of the background, I would say fade this shadow right here. Looks like there's something. I would just make it very harmonious with the background, so it doesn't read like an object.
Okay.
Darlene, who is that?
That's my partner, Rich.
Yeah, good. It's a great, excellent stage, Darlene. Good job. Great sketch. You're getting much better. Much better. I shouldn't say that, but you're getting so great at sketching.
Thanks. Does he look deeply unhappy in that picture? I think he didn't love posing.
Yeah, in the picture, it really reads that the intention of the conceptual intention of the assignment, if you will. So it's beautiful. It's really wonderful in that sense of like, oh my gosh. So it does have that sense of desperation and depression that we were going for. Not in the sketch, but visually, I think the sketch works better. So I wouldn't change it. I'm just pointing out that conceptually it may not be as sense of like what words did I use? I forgot, like abandoning.
Mhm.
It's not as much, but visually it's
I'm
very
a little
interesting.
worried about the eyes and the glasses.
No, that's fine. I think the way it looks like right now, I would just continue working, make sure that there is a sense of transparency. But yeah, not to worry. So just bring the flesh tone through them and try not to make them super thick.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's yeah, thank you. So
One more question.
yes.
It just seems to, how do I feel like I'm not using that much solvent and then everything starts dripping and I'm going, what is going on here?
It's a board.
Yeah.
So it's possibly the surface, it's so smooth that there is, I don't see too much drip, honestly. Mine is probably has a lot more. So I think it's good. You're on the safe side. I see drip right here, but I think you did a good job. You know, usually there's more than it shows right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's
Because I
good.
stopped paint. I felt I had to stop for a while until it.
No, I think my recommendation is get familiar with that stage because I feel like in the sense of things dripping, it's not like outrageous. Everything's like cascading down and you would notice that everything's washed out. But no, I think you're good. Yeah, it's just the nature of the surface.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Arlene. Yeah. And I know that Sarah Jennings had to go. So she's
Yes, Sarah is not with us.
okay. So,
You know what I mean?
I
Yikes.
yeah, and then I just did a refresh and then oh yeah, I see a couple. Yay! Okay, thank you guys. So Julie, Julie, are you here? If you
Yes,
are,
I am here. I'm
okay,
here.
perfect. Yeah. So this is wonderful. Let me just kind of like pause it and bring the photo. I liked
Okay.
already the composition, I can tell you, but let me just put it together just in case the photo can
Yeah,
if you
you'll
can
be
film
shocked.
us. I love that you cropped it. I think that was a good decision. So let me just look at it. And yeah, compositionally, great job. Many things that I love about this, the fact that it's off center, the fact that you left enough space on top. I love the architectural element on the side. So it just feels really wonderful because you could have gone so many ways. Oh, actually this is another photo, right?
Yeah, so that's the cropped one.
Okay.
I'm
No,
sorry, the first one I did wide and I was going to paint that. And then when I saw yours again, I thought, oh, I better go smaller.
well, you know, I mean, it would have been a different painting. And I love the feet actually and the floor.
I know, that's what I wanted to have the feet
Yeah,
individual.
I mean, that's fun. But it would have been different, but also good. Yeah. I think that's good. I love the tilt of the head also. So, I think
Doesn't look
that's-
like me at all. I haven't really worked on the face.
um,
I feel like the head is too small, or is it? The hat's
no,
too
I
big?
think that's actually, I think that it may be too small and in the sense like comparing it. But I
Mhm.
think relating it with the rest of the photo, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Because I love the detachment from the head apart from the shoulders. I think that's really good. And anything bigger than that, it would just interfere with the experience. So I think the figure looks fine. The torso looks fine in regards of the length. I'd say they did a really good job. I mean, if anything, so there's something really wonderful about this angle right here. The fact that it's not
Right.
vertical. And on here,
Yeah. How do you, I have to move it over slightly more. It's a little too.
I would
left.
probably do that. You have beautiful shoulders, if I may say. So I think the
Thank
shoulders
you.
extend a tad outside of the brim of the hat. So if
Mhm.
anything, this feels a little bit too narrow.
Yep.
Try either extending or cutting the hat, but I would try to extend the shoulder a tad because I think the
I think
shoulders
you're
are
right.
much broader.
And then the arm could go down, come down at more of an angle.
Yeah, because there's something about this arm that the way I see the photo, you know that in front of your torso. It's not on the side. So what you have in this composition is your arm in front, and the other one, it almost feels, because of the apron, behind. So it's a really beautiful game. I think this one feels right, but I feel like if you extend the shoulder, that would give you more of a sense of.
Yeah, I think that's very good point. I couldn't see that at the time, but now I do.
Yeah, I think that that's what I would do. And then, so something else, I love that the knees and it shows that they're much higher. The knees are quite high, and I feel like the
Yeah.
knees are very low here.
Yep, and they're not wide enough below the knee, it seems like.
Yeah, I just feel like, this, for example, it doesn't, you have this sort of like converging, and it doesn't have to be, just because this knee takes front stage or center stage. You don't see the thigh on this knee. You see the thigh on the other.
Okay, good point. That's much more helpful. I see exactly now what you're saying. Because I was just filling with that and going, oh, it just doesn't look right at all.
Yeah, no, I would
But
just
now
like raise those knees, and then I think that the combination of those two, and then you can soften, I would work on the face if it's not too small, but I would soften the eyes. And I love on the face that you have a lighter and a darker side. So it's there, but I would make it a little bit more distinct.
Even stronger. Yep,
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think the rest, I have no comment. The rest just looks beautiful. I love the lantern. I like the greens in the back. The chair looks really good. My only thing is that it's not the painting. It's because of the photograph. The way it is right now, and I'm glad you separated a little bit more. That was really good, because on your painting, you separated the part of the upright chair from the stucco, because otherwise it would have been too aligned.
Right.
But I just feel like this works really beautifully and really great. But I feel like right now, this thing, it's not resolved, because we don't know where the wall ends. And then there's the leg, and then there's the floor. So this reads like this is wall and this is floor. So there's a, so I just think that I would probably, depending on what you, I don't know. You have a pot.
I didn't do
if you can see some, yeah.
Right. There are a lot of plants there, so there's no real edge there. Except if I do put in the plant, then it would make it more of an edge.
Maybe I would just extend the floor, the ground, extend it to the other side of the leg.
Okay.
You want something that separates the arm
Right.
from the wall.
Right. And I haven't really worked on that arm at all. I want to do that a little better. And the cushion, I did a little bit, but I could do more on that.
It looks good. It looks good. No, it's just.
Do you think the green is too busy, the background? Should I go more with gray? I mean, I finally got a sap green and I went wild.
Aha! Do you like it?
I love it. I've never had a sap green. I mean, it is a bright background.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think that's good. I think that's good, Julie.
Great.
Yeah, I
There's
think that's
plenty
good.
to work on there. Yeah.
Okay. Say that again?
I have plenty to work on.
I'm sorry?
I have lots to work on it, but I'll try to do that.
Yeah, some touch-ups, but yeah, it's totally worth it, and it's really beautiful. And in regards of the green, I'm going to tell you why it's good the way it is, because it reads cold, and then you have warm tones on the chair, obviously, but also your skin tones, and they come forward. So there is a clear separation between the greens in the back and then you on the front. So don't worry about the greens being more vibrant, because they don't come forward, making it flat, not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so.
Thank you. This was
job.
fun. I didn't take a
good.
picture this morning, so I was like, oh, what are we gonna do? But it's a great weekend to be doing it, since it's gonna be so hot. Like the end of summer is gonna be extraordinarily.
I heard. Yeah. Doesn't feel like it's going to happen because it's not super hot right now, but they say that it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
Record breaking. So
I thought it was a great exhibit, and I liked learning about Mauriceau more. I hadn't seen her quite a bit. in Europe, and I think I just had a book on her or something because she was so familiar to me, but she's an extraordinary painter. I just love her colors. Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. I'm so glad that we just talked about her more and stuff because yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Julie. Just gonna do a refresh. And Dina, how are you, Dina? It's good to see you.
Hi,
Hi. How is everything? How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, I just had to miss a couple weeks, but
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy to get back.
It's all good. We missed you. And let me see if I can put this right next to that photo, if that's okay. It looks beautiful. And let me see.
I tried. I kept flipping back to the summer day of her and kind of trying to not be so defined with the brush strokes. You know, kind of just like just the gist of it.
Right.
And so I have some other ways to go, but yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, love the composition, and I love that the gray it spills out of different areas, so it's not compartmentalized. It's on the skin, it's on the blouse, it's on the hat, it's on the pants, it's on the background. That grounds everything. So to me, that sense of harmony, that tonal aspect of the painting stands out. So I think it's incredible in that sense. So yeah, I love the composition. Love the composition. I think it's great. Love the expression. Love the fact that it's facing forward, but the eye is not facing forward. It's looking at a distance. So your gaze is really great. Yeah, I think it's exquisite.
It was interesting that you made this assignment because I think you and Jen knows, and I think you know too, I haven't been able to see my mom because she's in assisted living since March. So she went into the hospital the August before that. So, just thinking about her being left from a hospital to never be back to her house in over a year. And the fact that I can't see her in person except for, FaceTime. It does make me sad, and that's why my eyes, it's very easy for my eyes to look like that because of the current circumstance.
Well, first, thanks for sharing that because I know it's very personal, and also I'm sorry that you're
Oh, that's
going through this stage in life with.
Yeah, well, you see it in the news. There's so many other people that are going
Right.
through the same thing, unfortunately.
Right.
So it's if the COVID, if you aren't affected by the illness, you are affected in other ways.
Yeah, of course.
Whether you have a friend or
Right.
friend or people have lost their jobs. It's just massive.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for Roofless Painting webinars because this keeps everybody, it gives a little bright spot to look forward to.
Yeah, there's something about the journal aspect of this because you told us the story, but then the visual example of that is this painting that I find comforting in that sense. So yeah, it even elevates the importance of the painting, if you ask me, 'cause it just describes not only a scene, but it describes a moment in time, and I think that's
well, like all your things, it's these how many weeks, and like I know I read that you're gonna plan on putting some of them in a book.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we're trying, yeah.
And I think that's just as a journal type of thing that I think it would be really cherished. So
Yeah, no, I think it deserves to be put together. Yeah, because it's just like, yeah, we know because we do.
Multiple milestones in a short period of time with the masks and the protesting. And I mean, you picked some really subjects for themes that they're not necessarily cheery, but this isn't a cheery time either.
Right.
And but we have to face it because it's reality.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's good.
Good. Yeah. We feel the same way. I think it's good. So yeah, thanks for articulating it the way you did. I think it's really important. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I love the fact that there's some drawn aspects on your hands, and that's probably my favorite part of the painting. The hands, the way there's a ghost line there, and the way they hold the hat. It's so delicate and soft. I think, yeah, I think it's exquisite and beautiful. So um, yeah, I love that aspect. I like also the fact the shoulders, the head like detached as well. Um, yeah, I know that you're gonna do more things in the background, so
Yeah.
I think I would just I don't know if I would have any notes because I like the fact that the colors are pale and not super strong because of the light direction there are a lot of, and because of the fact that this is a digital photo, there are a lot of like darker areas. Um,
Yeah.
but I think I like the paleness of it. I would just concentrate also perhaps work on the from the armpit going down, just
Hmm.
because I just feel like there's something really delicate about the fact that um, you know it's really nicely framed.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like here there's the sense of the arms having almost like a divergence from the armpit
Hmm.
that widens
Hmm.
the torso, not the torso, yeah, the midsection, I would say.
Hmm.
So I would just the opposite happens here. It's more like a converging, and there's
Yeah.
more of a sense of fragility in that
Right.
area. So I
Yeah.
would just work on this angle and try to yeah change that direction because it's just going to give you more of that lightness.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And it really helps so much when you take a picture and you're looking at the exact same thing, but when you take a picture and you're looking at your camera as a work in progress, I don't know why, but you can see certain things that you didn't see before, but it's the exact same piece that you're looking at when it's on
I
the table.
know. Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know why.
my theory is that, it's a way of stepping back because when you
Yeah.
shrink something smaller, it almost
Yeah.
makes you feel like you're far away from it. So immediately you recognize
Yeah.
relationships. Because when
Yeah.
you're like closer to it,
Yeah.
our eyes are kind of like more fragmented. So we only see things in sections.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I think it's very interesting because I cannot step back because I have the table and stuff. But then I
Yeah.
look at the computer and I see the image much smaller, and then
Yeah.
I say, oh well, this is going well, or no, 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 this is too big. So I recognize more things from the photo than looking at my work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happens to me.
So it's a
Well,
good
I will
idea.
work on it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a good idea to take photos and then sort of like as a way of giving yourself feedback somehow.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Thanks, Dina. And Lois, oh my gosh, this is what is this? A page from Vogue or what?
These are my beauties.
I know. I'm just like it looks like a fashion editorial. It's beautiful.
This is
Oh,
Team COVID.
yeah. No, it's an incredible image. So wow. I mean, regardless, you needed to paint this obviously because
Yeah.
it's really exquisite. Um, so beautiful. I just love your style. I think you're developing something really interesting. I don't know. There's something that's more. Maybe it's because of what you did with the sunflowers. I see some of that. I feel like you initiated this with the self-portrait with a mask and all the texture in the canopies, and then the sunflower just brought it forward. But now I feel like you're relishing in it, and it's beautiful. So it
I
works.
need to be careful not to overwork it and get into that realism that you were talking about
Right.
earlier, having value. Always growing up as a art, like the top art student in high school and stuff. The more realistic your picture was, the more accolades you got, and the more credit you got as an artist. For
Right.
me.
No, I think, yeah,
So
you
I
have,
struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, either or, don't be afraid of that because, for example, what you did with the one of the self-portraits at the very beginning that you spent a few sessions on it,
Mhm.
it was so incredible. And it didn't feel like a replication or like a copy. It didn't feel realistic, but it was quite realistic. So I know that, you know, it doesn't matter how longer or how much more you develop, you'll always preserve that energy. It's not going to feel like a photograph, which I think we shouldn't try. We should not try because we can do so much better than photographic.
Yeah, I think it little comes back to like what Lara was saying 2 weeks ago, how she finds it more difficult to paint without us. A lot of these paintings are really being present in this moment, you know? And so when you're trying to do it without, you know what I'm saying? Like, or
Yes.
looking at an old photograph or trying to remember the time of COVID, because this COVID
Right.
time is really, you know, there's nothing like it. None of us have experienced before. So,
Right. No, there's
yeah,
that.
trying to capture that, and me trying to help these young ladies through this, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt that's a self-portrait in itself.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just amazing. It's really it's very elegant, I would say. So compositionally, I think it's great because everything feels um, like it's intentional. You know, there's nothing that feels like it's off center or too squeezed or so. I
It's
think
a bigger size. I had this strange piece of gessoed canvas because I was gonna, you know, the challenge of doing 2 figures in 2 hours. It's 18 by, I don't know what it is. It's
24,
bigger.
probably
Yeah.
18, 24. Good. Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing. And so
But I mean, like Mary Cassatt is, you know, grew up at the Art Institute of Chicago and I know we didn't do Mary Cassatt, but this is a very similar style. And I loved your presentation. And I just have so much empathy for those women, you know, trying to paint. It's like
seriously, I don't even
everything
know.
against them and they still did it. So,
I know.
good. Oh,
That's the inspiration that I get from it as well. I mean, at a different level, obviously, but it's just the resilience that's inspiring, the courage, the resilience, despite all odds.
in a boat. Come on.
In a what?
In a boat.
In a boat.
We
In a
have to
boat.
go through this in a boat. Maybe we
And-
can do,
Yeah, and
you
on
know,
the-
because everybody could have their own boat.
yeah, I think she rented it, but on the wiki quotes of her profile, not her profile, her name, there's a excerpt of a letter that explains that it sucks to be painting on a boat, in a boat, because it's just, I think she writes to her sister and she says like, you know, it's terrible. It just can't, you know, the wind, the movement. So she thought it was a solution, but yeah, no one talks. I mean, no one talks about these things, and I think if there's a time when we should, it's not enough to show work by women in galleries, and you cannot check that box and say, okay, now yeah, it's 50-50 or of minorities. You know, it's more than that. It's you're not
That's
off the
the
hook.
challenge of getting to the easel, for sure. I mean, my morning was so ridiculous. Ask Jen, I sign on at 10:59 every morning.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. I'm glad it worked out. So I think, you know, the most interesting thing of this painting for me is, and this is a compliment, mind you, it's the level of distortion that you brought in. It's really interesting. Like, for example, the shoulders on the figure on the right, they're very narrow compared to the head, but yet they just create this sense of abandonment that it's really beautifully captured, and this the oversized hat. So there's almost a dissonance between the sizes of things, but they just work because they're more expressive. So I wouldn't, I mean, I mentioned to Julie, you know, the shoulders, I don't think I would change anything in that sense on this stage, because I feel like it helps the conceptual message. Because if you see here, you know, I mean, the shoulders are broader and there's much more of like
Yeah.
specifically this figure, there's more of a sense of empowerment. There's almost like a regal position, you know,
Yeah, that's
attitude.
the younger one.
But not here. Here, there's a sense of
Yeah.
vulnerability, fragility. There's a sense of like, you know, abandonment. And I think because of this, I think conceptually, it works better than if you try to create something with much more of an attitude. So
Yeah.
that distortion, I absolutely love. The face, the way it's painted, brilliant. I don't think it needs anything else because it's so beautiful. I mean, the way
That was
the
hard
simple
to
strokes.
leave it alone, right, guys?
Yeah.
I was following your lead on that.
No, it's just it's great. I mean, it's just, I would say the only thing I would work on creating a more developed green on the dress, because I feel like the rest compositionally works for me, but I feel like I would create more of a tonal green, a higher and lower within the same green. So it looks more like a mass of color with different variations. And the pinks stay more on the skin rather than just bringing that on the dress. Because right now it just fractures that mass of color in a way that it's not helping it achieve the full potential. I feel like the green, the way you did with the red, for example, right here, it just works because it becomes a single mass. But here, I would say, yeah, I would just create more highs and lows of that same color, because it's just gonna give you more of a sense of, I don't know, anchoring perhaps of the figure without being fractured.
Love it.
Yeah, if you wanted to bring a different color, maybe a lemon yellow to it could work rather than something more ecru, because that could bring a certain level of sparkle without
Take her away from the background. She's now she's treated the same as the background that dress is right now.
Oh yeah, well, you know, that's okay. I mean, you could just change the color of the background and make it more, especially in this area right here, to because you know what defines a dress is the contrast between the dress and the background. So rather than just the color, I would just increase the background darkness.
That green kind
Yeah,
of.
maybe like a deeper green, and it could be a colorful green.
I got to go over our green lessons again.
Oh, I think we need to go back again because, you know, they're so good that I feel like it wouldn't be bad to just go at it again for some reason. But anyhow, so I think it's fantastic. The hands on this figure right here are so beautiful, so delicate, so gentle. There's a sense of also lack of gravity. They're just kind of like landing there and they don't have any tension or anything. It's just great. It's just, I would just maybe on the hair of this figure, I would make it a little bit more unfocused and fuzzy. It feels really, really cut. But those are like minor details. It's fantastic.
Oh my God, those two.
Fantastic.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we're all here.
Yeah, thanks, Lois. Yeah, no, this is exquisite. Yeah, they will love this if they see it, when they see it. Yeah, good job. Yeah, so anyhow, I'm just gonna pause here if you guys are okay with that. And then if you have any updates, you can upload them. And I'll try to be as good as possible in regards of giving feedback. I know it's important and it just clarifies, helps. Work on it this long weekend. These are beautiful, I would say, in their sadness, they're very romantic pieces. So I'm glad we went from the border up storefronts to something so soft and romantic. So totally a great opportunity to disconnect this weekend and do and create some beauty. And I'm also glad that you guys incorporated things, but it's still you. So it doesn't feel like it's a copy of the style, which number one, we would never achieve because you can't replicate a genius, uh, thankfully. And number two, it's not what we're going for. So for me personally, this was very helpful in trying to analyze her work from a painter's perspective. It was all subjective propositions, but I think we got some really good information. So thanks, Jen, for all the work behind the scenes.
Thank you guys. And notes are ready. So the link is in your email and you can just go ahead and click on it and get notes from today.
Okay, awesome.
Leo,
So, yes.
I just wanted to tell you it's already 115 here
Oh,
today.
wow.
Oh la la. No.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
And I yesterday I couldn't take my picture outside because it was
Yeah.
because it's just too hot to even sit outside and take a photo.
Yeah. No, I'm just, we had, at least here, we had such a great, I would say, couple of weeks. Cool, jacket weather at nighttime. You know, it's been no AC. So everyone's talking about this weekend, and I'm a little afraid because they're saying that we're gonna hit some record-breaking temperatures. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, yeah, we'll see. But stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Obviously, don't host any barbecues.
No barbecues.
I don't know why I said that. Do whatever you want. I'm not.
No, don't host barbecues.
Just be safe. You know.
Whatever we do will inspire next week. I think the heat will inspire next week's painting.
Yeah, something's gonna come up, and then yeah, I really enjoyed the schedule that we have right now. I'm looking forward to talk about the blues on Tuesday. They're so gorgeous, and we're gonna learn more about them. And yeah, and thanks for collecting, or Julie, thanks for getting the greens and stuff like that. So we're growing all together, and you know, there's a reason why these people at that time tried to do an artist collective or community. You know, it's important to do these things because you inspire each other and then you cause growth. So they didn't do it just because they were narcissistic, because, you know, and snob. They did it because they could get a lot out of it. So what we do, it's good because it just helps us to always raise the bar. We learn so much, and we've learned so much. So this is our community, and I'm really proud of it.
I loved this assignment. I loved it.
Yeah, it was
Now
a
I
good.
don't want to go back.
It was a good. It was a
doing-
good 180 degree from last week,
Yeah.
right?
But
I mean,
now I don't know if
Totally.
I'm ever going to finish the other stuff. So-
It's been great. I loved it.
yeah. Thank you guys. No, this is fantastic every time. So I learned so much, and I'm also we're also very appreciative. So, and I see some
100%.
amazing progress. So
Sorry to hear about your the art store too. The art store that is going to close.
yeah, it's kind of like strange. I just don't know exactly what happened because I think I don't know. I know the people there, but I don't know the details. But it's really strange that it went down because art stores and craft stores are making more money now than before. They're getting more money now. I mean, that's what I hear from managers and stuff, that they're selling more. So I think they probably waited very long, and they did curbside for such a long time that the leases were not forgiven. So if you spend 5 months and you only do curbside, for safety reasons, which and you don't get any help to maintain the lease, the debt piles on quickly. So I just feel like since they had another location in downtown, they just decided, you know what, we just can't do this. Let's just cut the cord on this location, and then we keep the other one.
Oh, they still have the other one?
The one in downtown, they still have. Yeah, they still have.
So you can
Um,
order from them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, of course. And, you know, we like them because they're, even though they're a corporation, but we like them because supposedly the employees own a share of the company. It's different than Blick. Blick is a true corporation. No one's happy there. I forgot where the base is, but you know, they constantly fire people. There's a lot of drama, and you know, it's really sad. But with them, it's more of a smaller scale. I know that they care more for the employees, and they don't have this. And that's, if I have to say something, it's part of the reason why they went under, because they don't have this corporate mentality. Because, you know, Blake is like, you know what, cut staff, not cut sales or curbside. So they're very aggressive, you know, less people working, more whatever. They went immediately into letting people in. So they're more corporate, and, you know, perhaps the artists and craftsmen, you know, and being so respectful, they just couldn't bear the impact.
I actually like going to Cheap Joe, ordering from the Cheap Joe.
Yeah. That's
Carter
good.
Sexton's good. That's my outing.
Which one?
Carter Sexton on Laurel Canyon.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. You know what? I think
They're
I'm just,
so nice. They're so great. And I go there like once a week. It's one of the only places I go, but
so in comparison to the other art stores, how is it? Do they have
amazing. And they didn't have some of the colors, the Gamblin colors, they were out of them, and so they ordered it for me and called me when it was in, and they're wonderful. They're really
Okay.
good toys. They also do shows that you can submit your work, and
I need to
it's been-
stop by, because we need to find like a different, because downtown is fine, but I think that's an opportunity for us to find another business, local
Yeah.
business that we could support.
Yeah, they're wonderful, really wonderful.
So I'll check them out for sure. Yeah. All right, you guys.
Beautiful paintings, everyone.
Yes.
For
yes.
you.
Yeah. Good job. Have a
Absolutely.
fantastic weekend. Always the most fun painting with you. And then we'll see you next week.
I thank
I miss
you.
everybody.
Bye, guys. Stay cool.
Bye. Thanks, Jen.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Julio. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.